This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio Delhi. The wrists adorning colorful bangles are both aesthetically and musically charming and are also a statement on the fine traditional craftsmanship. How old is this legacy of our heritage? In today's English Talks chunk, we have with us Miss Komal Pande, Assistant Curator, who's also in charge of the jewellery collection at the National Museum, sharing with us the story of the great Indian bangles.
Bangles are synonymous to Indian culture. When we see a handful of bangles, we immediately relate to it as a hand belonging to the land of Indian subcontinent, a land where for years and years the arms and wrists have been adorned with bangles, as an ode to one of the oldest traditions that dates back to the dawn of civilization, and as an ode to the living culture of wearing bangles that has continued unbroken for almost 5,000 years. The bejeweled hands have found representation in the earliest of our art traditions. What is even more breathtaking is how a large number of bangles as material evidences have been unearthed by archaeologists from historic sites. Not only do we have profuse depiction of bangles, but also variety of bangles. Let's begin from where we map the beginnings of our civilization. At the banks of River Indus, around 2600 BCE, lay one of the most sophisticated civilizations of its time, the Indus Valley civilization. History lovers will know about the marvelous findings of this civilization, the dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro that has amazed and puzzled us since its discovery. For me, her most peculiar feature are her hands laden with bangles that assures that wearing bangles was prevalent during the Indus period. However, when we observe her closely, we find while her left arm is completely laden with bangles, her right arm shows around 4 bangles. The variations in the number of bangles in each of her hand has kept her mystery alive. With her uniquely decked hands, the Indus Valley dancing girl can also be seen as a girl with bangles. We may wonder the significance of the bangles as jewelry and also the number of bangles that ornate her. Further, the terracotta mother goddesses and the steatite seals of Harappa and other sites of Indus depict figures laden with hands ornamented. We can say that no wrists are seen barren. All are seen blooming with bangles. While each of the site of the Indus civilization gives us unique representation of bangles, the findings at Rakhi, a site in Haryana, further enriches our Bangle expedition. The burials of our ancestors, discovered as skeletal remains, have been found ornamented with bangles. Such rituals make us wonder if bangles were associated with the belief system of life after death, or did they indicate passing away of a person of a specific social status. One such skeleton has been found wearing an ivory bangle. So, from life till death, bangles found their specific place in the Indus Valley civilization. The archaeological findings of Indus civilization tell us about the variety of bangles that people wore and emphasizes on how celebrated was the idea of wearing bangles. A large hoard of silver bangles or kadas have been found at Mandi, a site in Uttar Pradesh. This finding dates back to the Indus Valley period. We have found a large number of bangles made in terracotta also. Bangles made in ivory, elephant tusk, and gold have also been unearthed in the excavations. Given these variety of materials in which bangles were crafted, one may conjecture about the social status of who wore gold, silver, and terracotta, or for which occasion the specific material was worn. From the archaeological excavations at Takshashila, a city in present-day Pakistan, renowned as one of the ancient-most seat of learning in the world education history, a large number of artifacts have been found. Of our interest in this talk are the exquisite gold ornaments of Takshila that date back to almost 2000 years, 1st century BCE to 1st century CE. Amongst the many jewelry artifacts found in excavations are the gold bangles. To further narrow down one of the most intriguing findings out of the large jewelry hoard is a tiny bangle of approximately 3.5 centimeters dia. A delicate, neat gold wire bangle that adorned the wrist of a baby or a child 2000 years ago. And is the tradition of presenting bangles to a newborn baby alien to us? Perhaps not. We all know the ritual of presenting bangles to the baby on the 6th day, Chhati, or the Namkaran Sanskar. The material findings of Indian bangles are with such examples of jewelry that may have belonged to children. The profuse representation and references to bangles have found an inevitable, or rather a very special place in our art and literature. These include music, dance, sculptures, reliefs, and paintings from all the eras and periods of our Indian history. The curiously bejeweled sculptures of yakshas and yakshis, the splendid torans of stupas, the magnificent wall paintings, the grand temple architecture, the meticulously painted miniatures in manuscript paintings are filled with beautiful narratives from Indian epics, classical dramas, vernacular poetries, and historic documentations, and bear unique references to bangles as an inseparable aspect of our rich culture and heritage. Even today, the vast variety of materials in which bangles are produced indicate that the history of wearing bangles, and by extension the production of bangles, has come down 5,000 years as a continuous unbroken tradition. The later material findings of late medieval times show the exquisite craftsmanship reflecting the regional aesthetic flavors of our country, and bangles crafted in Jadaut, Meenakari and Repoussé technique. Bangles were studded with pearls and diamonds and sometimes the Navratnas, where each of the 9 gemstones would represent a celestial planet. Also, flora and fauna found inspiration for the wearer and the maker alike, and intricately designed makar heads, elephant heads, bird-shaped terminal ends of the bangles were crafted for special purposes. One may also wish to investigate who were the jewelers who crafted the bangles. The Manihar community is one such community that we know of who made bangles, and the references to the Manihars and their professions of selling bangles may be found in the folk songs around us. Such intriguing insights propel us to wonder about the production-based or the craft-dominant history of India alongside the evolution of culture, instead of political histories and dynastic monarchies in chronology. Even today, like the historic civilization of Indus that dates back to 2600 BCE, the bangles are produced in diverse materials like gold, silver, glass, lac, and many others, and have remained a significant, or rather necessary ornament, so much so that the bangles found a place within the poetry of Bhakti and Sufi genre. When the poets adopted the Shringar Ras voice to speak to the beloved, numerous references were made to bangles, and Baba Bulle Shah, the 17th century philosopher and Sufi poet, wore bangles. The aspect of Indian history which we can address in the present tense is the most beautiful aspect of history. It tells us how we are part of a great, diverse, yet uniquely heterogeneous living tradition that has survived for thousands of years.
The story of the great Indian bangles. You just heard this talk by Ms. Komal Pande, Assistant Curator, who's also in charge of the Jewellery collection at the National Museum. This broadcast came to you on the FM Gold channel of All India Radio Delhi. Please stand by for the next broadcast.